Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about photographing what you know and photographing locally, because it's quite often that you see a lot of YouTube videos about going to a place and photographing there, 24 hours in this place, or like I shot Spain for a week or Tokyo for 2 days or whatever. And that's great. That's cool. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that, but I just want to also talk about photographing locally and photographing what you already have right next to you. So, travel photography, vaguely. I mean, that's not really something that's completely defined, but in the last year, I've seen a lot of photographers and YouTubers specifically, ones that I really like and whose content I watch and enjoy, do a lot of videos where they go to a different place that they don't live. Like usually, they go to like Spain or Morocco or Japan and things like that. And it's really cool to see because they take these trips exclusively, usually like just to take these pictures. And it's super nice because you have this idea of like, I'm gonna go to this place to take those pictures. So you plan this trip for photos, and that's not something that's new either. I mean, lots of sort of popular photographers and even just people who may not be so mainstream popular but like have some sort of following will organize photo tours that you can pay to be part of, and they'll set up an itinerary and you can go there to a new city, and then you can go through all these places with them, and they'll show you these spots and you can take photos, and that's cool. I'm not here to hate on any of that. That's something that is super nice, because like I said, at the end of the day, if you watched my video about why I take photos, every person has their unique vision. So you going to a new place, you might see it uniquely, so there's definitely merit to that. But I also want to talk about today photographing the things that you already do know, because while they're both good, it's not always accessible to everyone to take trips to somewhere new, somewhere they haven't been, maybe even locally, but it's a lot easier for us to just step out the door or go and take photos of things that we already encounter every day. Now, how does this really work with street photography? Because let's be honest, not every place in the world is going to be conducive to street photography. I'll be the first to admit that 1 year I spent in Toronto, it was way easier to shoot street photos there. There was a lot more people, a lot more foot traffic, just more people doing things that were more interesting to me. But now that I'm back here in Ottawa, where there's not nearly as many people, I think there's like about a third of the population of Toronto is in Ottawa. The center of the city is way smaller. There's not as much foot traffic. But that doesn't mean I'm stopping to take my street photos. I'm still taking them because I go on the same walk every day, or every couple days I'm going to go out there and I'm going to see something new, something different. You have to still try, no matter where you are, to get those photos. And like I've said earlier, that unique vision of yours, you might see something that's different. So you can't just be hoping to always have that crutch of going somewhere new just to give you something new to think about. So it's really nice to get into the habit of being okay with shooting what is already nearby, because that's always accessible. Now, when I say crutch, it's maybe a bit harsh, but what I'm trying to say is the reason why we want to take these trips to somewhere new, somewhere exciting, is purely because it's new and exciting, something that we don't have any predispositions towards, or at least maybe we have some predispositions, but they're different from actually viewing it, from actually experiencing it. We don't have any experience with that thing, so it's novel, it's new, it's nice to just change things up from time to time. And I get that, absolutely, you should do that. But that's not always possible, and it can definitely become something that you're using to distract yourself from not being able to do something with what you already have. Sometimes it's almost a little bit easier to just try something new like that, because it, like, you can't really fail, right? Like, everything you take there is new and can be compared to anything that you've taken before in the same way, because they weren't of the same subject matter, or they weren't in the same area, things like that. And the idea of photographing what you know doesn't necessarily apply to just your surroundings. It's also, the people you encounter and things like that. It's probably easier for you to take photos of people that you know too. So sometimes it is easier to do the photographing what you know than it is, to always photograph something new. Sure, the new is more exciting and novel, but what you know is more personal. You already have some experience with it. And actually, it's that experience that you have that can help you make a compelling image with what you know. Be that, your city or your friends or, people you encounter on a daily basis. And even with the things that you're familiar with, there's still variety to be had. There's different weather conditions, different lighting conditions, all of the above. Different times of year will have different types of light, different characteristics of your environment. And sometimes you're going to see something that you wouldn't see, like you might not see, for example, certain trees during certain times of year. So entire shots can be different. So, sometimes you have to revisit that. So even in your own city, you can see different things at different times of the year. And you just have to keep going back to photograph it until you get the shot that you're most happy with, or you get a series of shots that shows different things but in the same space, and that can be very interesting too. And to illustrate this, I'm going to put up pictures that I've taken in this city, which, a lot of people have said to me is a boring city. And I can see where they're coming from, but I really like it here. It's, the people are very nice, and I feel like there's a lot to see, and I feel like there's, I've only scratched the surface, and I've been here for a while. But, being a student, you don't really get to go around all that much all the time. You really just stick to certain routines. So there's lots of areas that I haven't been to, and when I go to them, they're new to me, which is nice. I'm getting that sort of novel feeling, but not having to go super far. I'm really just taking a bus. Even 30 minutes from here, it might be a whole different neighborhood. And that's something nice too. But also just going up and down the street where I live, a lot of the times maybe there's not anyone there, but even without people, I can see new things, new interesting things. Sometimes the shadow will hit on a wall in a different way, and that'll be interesting, and I'll take a photo of that. It's just a thought that I want to put out there, is that it's interesting to sort of, try to make the most of what you have in photography as well. And, this does go back to a little bit sort of the thing that I said in my video about not buying, $2,000 lenses. Yeah, I can't afford $2,000 lenses, but in that same vein, I can't afford to take a fancy trip to somewhere new and exotic every few months, because purely to take photos, because that's not something that I can justify. It's not something that works for me, but it is within my means to walk in the city that I'm in, take the bus somewhere different in a new neighborhood, or get some friends together, drive to like a local town. So there's all these things that you can do to still keep it fresh and exciting, but also keep in mind that just having this knowledge of this area or this space that you are already in gives you something that could be advantageous to your photography. You want to show someone sort of like the local point of view. Like, you can show the foreign point of view, and that's just as interesting, but I feel like that local point of view can sometimes get overlooked. Small little segue, actually, because I feel like I've been getting way too many ads for Grammarly. I know that they've been aggressively marketing for a while, but for the last few weeks, it's just been non-stop. And in my head, I'm like, are they watching my videos and they just think that I can't write to save my life? Which, like, a little bit fair, because I don't really write scripts for these videos. I'm not coming in here with, like, blah, 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 this is what I'm going to say. I have an idea, sort of, and then I just turn this on and I say whatever I want to say. And usually it works out. Sometimes I do multiple takes, but, you know, why are they hating on me? It's just, it's weird. Unrelated completely, but I wanted to put it out there because I've been getting them way too much and they must think I'm so stupid or like so bad at writing. Anyway, back to the video. And to illustrate my point just a little bit more, I want to talk about how, you know, in the past when things like Nat Geo were very big, they would send photographers out on assignment. You know, they would take really good photographers and put them somewhere where they hadn't been, and they would take photos, and they would be very compelling, very, very nice things to look at. But they were taking photos as outsiders. And sometimes it's useful to be an outsider, but at the same time, you know, you look at Danny Lyons and what he did with the Outlaws Motorcycle Club, right? And it's recently made into a film, I think, called The Bike Riders or something. But he attached himself to this motorcycle club for a while to take these photos as an insider from the inside of, you know, like he lived with them, he traveled with them, and he took photos that portrayed them the way that they are. And that's something that's happening too, of course. Like, a lot of people will do long-term photo projects like that. And I just want to take that and adapt that to your environment as a whole. You know, you are already an insider to your city, to the space that you live in. So why not capitalize on that to make photos in a way that not everyone might be able to do? So, you know, take that. Maybe think about that a little bit. Quick little side note. I just wanted to say again, this is not me saying that you shouldn't, you know, come up with an interesting idea for something that you haven't done. You know, I'm not saying you shouldn't try new things. I'm just saying you should try new things, but when you can't try something new all the time, don't be disheartened and stop shooting, but instead make the most of what you have. The environment around you and everything that you know about it is something that you can use to also take great photos outside of times when you don't have a fresh new idea or a fresh new place to shoot. And to cap it off, I'll give you one more example. Ernst Haas, who I love, took all of his photos in New York where he lived, right? And obviously we don't all live in New York, which is, you know, a metropolis of a city with all these people and all these interesting things happening all the time. So I get that it's not going to be the same for everyone, but, you know, if you take anything away from this, it should be this, you know, like, just give it a shot. Photograph your city, photograph your commute, photograph your friends, photograph your life, because you know that. And because you know it, you already have extra information about it. You have experience about what's compelling, and, you know, you just romanticize a little bit, and I'm sure you can come up with something good. But you know, at the end of the day, you have to remember, I don't own a Leica, so none of my street photography opinions matter, right? So you know, someday. But you know, for now, that's it for me, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.